Hey, what's going on, guys? VT here, and I'm bringing you some Eve Dust 514 beta footage. I realize that I am a little late to the party. This came out, I believe it was like last week, almost about a full week ago. It's open beta for everyone. You can grab it off the PlayStation Store, and I just haven't had time. But considering I mentioned it in the podcast that came out about 2 days ago, or something like that, I figured I should probably show you guys what it's all about. And I'm going to be showing a lot more. I'm not going to be talking the whole time, so don't worry, as this video might end up being a little long. But basically just is pretty much my first impressions about it. I'm really just going to kind of spit really what happens in it, and as you'll see, there's a lot to take in. That's like the first thing I really noticed about this, is that there is a lot to take in. It has that strong Eve MMO element to it, where as soon as you get thrown in there, you have so many options for customizing, and they're not really all available to you, which kind of sucks. They're all, you can see them, but you have to work your way to them. You know, obviously it is a beta too, so you're starting from scratch pretty much, like you would with the normal game. But there's just like tons of different loadouts, guns. Like you can kind of pick like a weird armor thing going on. There's like skills, abilities, different sort of equipment. There's a whole huge shop. There's 2 types of currency. It's crazy. You can either get in-game currency or real currency, like you pay Sony money and they give you money for the game. Basically, there's an exchange rate in there to buy new things, which is kind of cool. Those definitely help out. There's one I saw that was like, 7,000 whatever the in-game currency is, but you had to pay for that and give you like 50% extra XP gain for a week, which is pretty hefty. Honestly, that's pretty good. 1.5 XP extra, like that's great, especially for a full week. I'm not sure how expensive that was. I didn't look into it all, but it's pretty good. So, as good as that is in the long run, the whole, there's a lot to it. It's really great in the long run. It's really not introduced slowly or easily at the very start. You're just kind of thrown in there. There's tutorials and stuff. It tells you what's going on a little bit, but for the most part, it's just sort of, here's everything. Have fun, and that can work. It works in a lot of MMOs, really, especially like you really got to think that this game is essentially a branch of Eve. Like, you get that whole feeling right away. It is about Eve, and Eve is a very complicated, complex, and vast game. There's a lot to it, and it's a huge network of battles going on, and that's really what this captures, is the smaller battles, and inside those that really change the tides and everything, which is a really cool idea. It's just, there's so much to it, which is really cool for longevity of a game, but when you start off, it's kind of rough. But I really do like that they really captured the whole MMO thing, which is really cool, but again, it's going to take some patience. And so you kind of get like your own little hub thing. You can walk around, and much like Eve, you can walk around, just sort of chill, customize everything, buy everything. It's a really a sort of a free roam lobby type thing, which is pretty sweet, actually. It's nice. It's not just a menu. It's like, you get to see your character, you get to see like a living space, you can see a little bit of backstory behind it, and basically, in case you didn't know, you're really a clone, and it kind of explains this, like, you're a clone who keeps all his memories and everything, and so every time you die, you just get a new clone remade, and your memories are instantly transported in that one. So basically, you're immortal, essentially, is what's going on. And it's just a bunch of factions fighting for each other, and which is really cool, because related to the MMO thing as well, you start off and make a character, as you've probably seen already in this video, and there's different factions, and in those factions there are different lineages, different races and stuff, which is really cool. It affects how you sort of level, what sort of skills you're good with, and stuff like that. And because it is a first-person shooter, you still get to pick different classes underneath that. They won't really like, you're not going to be stuck to just sniping or something. No, it's just it kind of affects. Okay, maybe you're a little more geared towards sniping, or maybe you have a little more agility or something, which is really interesting in a first-person shooter aspect. But again, it is an MMO, so you can build up your character however you really want, with different skills and stats and abilities and stuff like that. So it's definitely a different aspect. It's very I want to say futuristic, just because it is a very futuristic game, but it's a different branch of first-person shooter, and I really wish as I'm about to get to in a second, that the gameplay, like the rest of the game, carried through, because I started off this beta like, okay, this is really cool. It's a lot to take in, but this is really cool. I like where this is going. I get a lot of feel of the whole MMO. It's a big world. Like I can spend a while on this. There's gonna be a lot of different types of players and everything. It's a first-person shooter. It's got that like Borderlands mix up with it. Like there's tons of different guns, but the guns from actually different characters, so it's a lot more bulky as for how much you can change, really, instead of just changing the gun and a little bit of the character. It's just a lot. But then you get into a fight, and in the beta there were two types of gameplay modes, and the one I really focused on was the it's a capture and hold mode. Really, you have to capture a point, and out of 3, and then you destroy like the enemy's defense systems pretty much, and it's cool. I didn't really play much of the other mode. It was just a skirmish mode. It was like a deathmatch type thing. We have one player has to defend, or one team has to defend, the other has to attack. But instantly, as soon as I started up the match, before I even spawned or anything, there was lag, there was frame rate issues. It did not look as clean as the menu, as the free roam lobby did. It was not as good as the intro movie. Like it was honestly a pretty big letdown to see the graphics just drop and everything just sort of plummet from like really good expectations to just something that it just fell short. And I do remember, keep in mind, this is a beta, this is a beta, but as soon as the game started up, it said there was like over 1,000 fixes from the last beta, like clearly over 1,000 fixes, and I just did not get the feel that they've really improved a lot on this throughout my gameplay experience, which is sad. But then again, it's a huge game, there's a lot to it, so they still hopefully have a long way to go to make this game really good, because I want to see this game succeed, because it's such a good idea. I just did not get that feeling, especially as the gameplay moved on. Everything was just, it was smooth, but it was almost too smooth. Like if you get that feel, it's like there's no resistance at all to movement. It's just sort of like you're floating, and which isn't a natural feel. Like some games it can work for, but it's one of those games where it's like, okay, this is supposed to be a realistic MMO type thing set in the future, but I'm just like gliding over here, and there didn't seem a whole lot of physics involved. I guess there was a few cool things, like the whole kinetic breaker as you're falling down to earth. You get to like put on a shield and you won't get damaged or something, but that didn't get activated very easily, and only after a certain distance. So you often got hurt off jumping off of small little balconies, which I thought was kind of strange. I can start this giant drop, but I can't just jump off the balcony without getting hurt. Whatever. But yeah, the graphics were, like I said before, they were not that great. There were a lot of differences, at least in the maps I played, especially the one you're going to see here. I'm really uploading one gameplay because I didn't get to play a whole lot recently. But the contrast wasn't too awesome. Nothing really stood out. A lot of the menus, the HUD and everything was just was kind of clumped together. There's a lot going on in the HUD that you really want to be able to like look, see how much health you have, and go back. And you really couldn't do that. Stamina, look and go back. Stamina is really hard to see on a spot like that on a dime. And it needed to be cleaner. It needed to be crisper, for sure. But the mechanics were really rough. Just trying to fight people, like it was really okay because it was so smooth. It was really easy to aim at people, and you'll see me go on kind of a tear and a little bit here. Other than that, like I do get killed a few times. Obviously, I went 19 and 10 at the end of this, and I'll show that screen, which is no big deal. Especially this was my first game that I played. Actually, is what you're watching, the very first one, and I didn't record the other one after that. I don't know why, I just didn't. But you'll see me going on a little bit of a tear, and it's really easy to keep someone in your sights. I like it a lot that it takes a lot to put someone down. That's great. Don't change that at all. Like, X more bullets to kill someone is good. Gives each person a fair chance at winning. It's very skill. It puts it more of a skill-based challenge instead of who has the better equipment, for sure. And that might change with, depending on what rank you are, or how developed your character is. I don't know. That's one scary thing about the MMOs. It's like a newbie coming in might get rocked real easily, and that you don't want that. It's a fear I've had with other games, especially like God of War Ascension. I mentioned that in the podcast. It's just, it makes it really difficult for new people to join, and people in the end just start dominating, you know. And yes, it is a lot of team-based, which helps, you know, spread that out and make it more diffuse, which is really good. But still, you want to be careful that it gives you the upper edge, but not so much of an upper edge where it's just not fair or fun for anyone else. But the mechanics were a little rough. They're a little shaky when you got near people. You know, there's a little lag going on. No, I don't want to say everyone looked the same, because there's supposed to be some differences, but a lot of people looked really similar. Like, you had to pick what your kind of icon looked like, what you kind of looked like, and it really just changed your helmet, is what I got. Like, I didn't really see a whole lot of other differences. The guns seemed really cheap. Like, if you listen to them, and you will, because I will stop talking eventually so you can hear some of this. The guns just don't sound like little pea shooters. And the whole game is just slow. Like, the whole gameplay, going through the menus, walking around, firing, it's just slow. It feels bogged down, and you don't want that in the first person. That's my biggest thing with the whole game, is it just felt slow. Reloading was slow. Switching guns was extremely slow. Meleeing took days, which, by the way, also doesn't do any damage, so don't worry about meleeing someone, because I meleeed someone like 3 or 4 times, and they didn't get killed at all, and I put like over a clip in them, I'm sure. Meleeing does nothing, and not like by the time you get to him, you're melee, you know, right past him, because they'll be turned around you. You know, firing a sniper rifle is just super slow. Everything was just bogged down, and that's bad. Especially like spawning after you die. Like you sit there for a while, and then I can respawn or wait for help. I'll respawn, and you're just like waiting. Like, it's just, okay, let's get back to the battle. No, let's wait. Okay, great. 10 seconds? Well, let's add another 5 onto that for, like, loading screens and shit, basically, is what they were in disguise. And that's no good. Especially for a first-person shooter. Out of the long game that I played, probably half of it was actual gameplay. The rest of it was just sort of like, okay, let's go. Here's a little bit of a cinematic going back down to Earth or something like that. It was just, well, maybe not half, that's an exaggeration, but definitely a big chunk was missing. Other than that, I think it's a good concept. I pretty much said all the bad things about it. It is cool. The futuristic thing is pretty sweet. I think the tutorials could be a little better. Again, it is beta, so it's probably improved. Like, they didn't really tell you how to revive people, or how do you, like, what was so special about your classes and stuff. There's a lot of reading, which is, you know, that's okay as long as you have the patience for it. I just thought things could have been presented a little better, and just the gameplay needs to be improved as a whole. It's just look at the whole thing, amp up the graphics, you know, make it smoother as far as lag and frame rates, add a little more realism to it, more physics, you know, make your guys move faster. They're supposed to be fighting machines like in 2099 or something ridiculous like that, light year 1,000,000, I don't know what year it was, I didn't play Eve. But, you know, make it more of a shooter and less of a thinker MMO, you know? For sure. One really cool thing, though, I gotta add this in before I end, was there is cross connectivity between, and I don't test this out because I don't play Eve, but between Dust 514 and Eve Online, for PC. Apparently, this is sweet. I thought it was really awesome, and to see the intro movie after I'm done talking here. You can actually pick spots on the battlefield for your friends who are playing Eve Online to, like, send in airstrikes and shit. Like, that is cool. Like, that can change the tide of battle, which might get, you know, I'm sure there's some controlling, regulating thing for it, but, like, that is sweet, where the games are actually being played together in entirely different circumstances. You know, your first-person shooter and space battle MMO, like, they can attack a fucking planet that you're fighting on, and you can see it happen. You can call in this crazy attack, or support or something, and yeah, it's really cool. There were vehicles also in the beta, and the vehicles are kind of cool. They've got a decent amount of health, but they're not indestructible. They offer support, but they don't seem to be too overpowered. But I didn't really get that. I haven't played enough to see that. That might change, especially with vehicle upgrades. But I think the theory there is really cool, but it just needs a few more months in beta. Honestly, just a lot longer to improve things. And that's pretty much all I've got. So thank you for watching. Like, comment, rate, subscribe. Keep watching the rest of the video. There's going to be more, more footage going on after I'm done talking. So definitely appreciate it. Also check out my podcast. It's on my channel. Click the little, up there. Subscribe. Go to VT's channel thing, maybe? No? Okay, we'll try sometime. And I'll have another one out this week. So again, like, comment, rate, subscribe. And thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.
Objective C hacked. Virus upload in progress. Hostile MCC shield damage critical. Objective A hacked. Virus upload in progress. Warning. Objective C. Null cannon targeting MCC. Warning. Hostile MCC shields failed. Objective B hacked. Virus upload. Damage 50%. Objective B. Virus upload complete. Null cannon targeting hostile MCC. critical. Mission accomplished. Hostiles eliminated.
Welcome, soldier. You're about to jump into a galaxy of opportunity, wealth, destruction, and death. If you are adequately prepared, you are far less likely to die violently on the battlefield. Your war begins long before the first shot is fired. The equipment you choose, including your drop suit, weapons, and vehicles, will determine not only your odds of survival, but also your role on the battlefield. This equipment must be purchased from the marketplace and will not be returned to you should you lose consciousness or life in battle. Your clone continually accrues skill points in battle and out. In turn, these points are applied to skills to increase their effectiveness or to teach you how to use more advanced gear. The skills you train will define the warrior you ultimately become. Your Neocom is as important a tool as any weapon you will ever wield on the battlefield. It provides remote access to the market, allows you to customize combat fittings, plan your skill progress, communicate with other mercenaries, and most importantly, tracks all ongoing ground combat in the cluster. Your mercenary status allows you to fight for the corporations or factions of your choice. Once committed to a battle, you will join your allies in an orbiting war barge to suit up, form squads, compare gear, and devise strategies for the battle ahead. Remember that communication extends beyond the mercs around you. You can discuss tactics both in a local chat and within your corporation, and even with starship pilots in EVE Online. Combat in New Eden is fast, frantic, and brutal. As good as you are, you will die. And when you do, you will reawaken in a clone ready to return to battle, wiser and better prepared for the challenges ahead. Whether sneaking past enemy positions, plowing through them in a tank, or supporting your squad, you must adapt to a dynamic and dangerous battlefield. Tactical objectives change with every battle. You might need to clear out drone infestations or participate in massive land grabs sponsored by galactic empires. You may find yourself fighting wars for ideals, for money, or simply because it's what you're good at. Along the way, you'll meet like-minded mercs and forge alliances. Because one day, the land you're fighting for could be your own. Your teammates don't need to be your best friends, but you will need to trust them and work together as a unit. Being in the same squad will improve your combat effectiveness, and having a starship pilot join you can provide substantial benefits, including orbital strikes on your enemies. Dust 514 is more than a chance to lay down blistering fire, rush over terrain in armored vehicles, and fight across the galaxy alongside your fellow mercs. Every battle, every action, every decision you make will bring the galaxy together or tear it apart.